Okay, it's Greg Miles of Safford Wolf here. I just sort of kind of thought this would be a good idea to talk about some stories that I think are really important. So here it goes. Just for the record, these stories sort of kind of came out over the last couple days, so yeah. And also today is the 23rd of March, 2011. The first one I want to talk about is the census numbers came out, and Detroit's lost quite a bit of its population. When the census numbers came out, it said that Detroit had a population of 713. Sorry about that, folks. 713,777 people. Yeah, I should probably not have tried to say the exact number, and anyway, that's at least what the Free Press said. Anyway, the problem with that is that Mayor Bing has pretty much said that in order for the city to get the money that it needs to have at least a population of 750,000. And it doesn't have those numbers. Now, Mayor Bing is trying to challenge the census numbers and sort of kind of do that, but this also sort of kind of stresses how much population Detroit has lost over the past, couple of years. And it, like I said, one of the major reasons why this is important is it affects how much federal money the city's going to get, and the city needs that money. So that's one thing. Also, Governor Snyder, a couple days ago, came out with his proposed budget. Well, not a couple days ago, nearly a week ago. Came out with his proposed budget. And the interesting about this is that it's not just, a list of expenditures. He's also really sort of kind of trying to change the way that the state gets money, especially from businesses. There are a lot of changes in how the state, doles out and gets money in that budget, but the two big ones are that he wants to change the Michigan business tax. To be perfectly honest, I really don't know how that thing works right now, which is actually what he's gone on the record saying, is that it's sort of kind of complicated and he wants to simplify it. He said that, but what he really wants to do is, instead of the Michigan business tax, he wants to have a corporate 6% income tax. And that's the first big change that he's sort of kind of doling out. The second one is that he sort of kind of wants to change how revenue sharing works in the state. And so basically what revenue sharing is that in the state budget, it allots a certain amount of money for municipalities and communities. What he wants to do is say that those municipalities don't automatically get that money. Previously, the way it worked is that was just money they were given, and so they could sort of kind of just write that into their budgets. But he wants to sort of kind of say that they have to meet certain standards in order to get that money. And it sounds good, but on a personal note, I'm sort of kind of thinking that this might end up sort of kind of the way No Child Left Behind worked out. Based on the language I've seen thus far, it sort of kind of seems like a No Child Left Behind scenario. I don't know that for sure. I mean, it's just what I've read thus far. And next, of course, is the Libyan conflict, which, this is international news. Basically what happened over the last couple of days is that the United States, along with a couple of allies, we aren't leading this thing, pretty much decided to attack Libya in order to sort of kind of swing the balance between the Libyan government and the rebels there. And this is interesting largely because, at least for me, it's interesting because of the language that's being used. It's not exactly clear what our goals are, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that, A, this thing came sort of kind of quick. I mean, if you ask anybody, a month ago, hey, are we going to war with Libya? Nobody would have said yes. This thing sort of kind of came quick. And another thing are sort of kind of the political implications of this, which I think are just kind of weird. Thus far in his administration, President Obama has really tried to keep the focus on domestic issues. And whether you love him or you hate him, that's pretty much what his administration has primarily been focused on. It's been domestic issues. That's not to say this is the first time he's sort of kind of done anything in regard to foreign policy, but I think that a lot of the reason why the language that's being thrown out there is really vague and very muddled. When I read these articles and try to see what's going on, it's because I think that the administration just doesn't want to be compared to the Bush administration, and because of that, because of a bunch of technical things, if this goes out wrong, he could very well be compared to the Bush administration. I mean, there's a lot of subtleties, but the main thing is that this is a war we didn't see coming. And it's actually not even a war right now. It's just, an attack. Which is another thing. At least last time I checked, this was an executive action, so, at least to my knowledge. Let me check real quick. I will be with you guys shortly. Just give me a few seconds to do some clickies. He hasn't really gone to Congress, I think. Let me see. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just sort of kind of weird. It's not a war, it's just weird. And because of that, I mean, I think that the powers that be are just sort of kind of weirdly trying to... I mean, what's most interesting to me, apart from the attack itself, which is, weird, is the language that's being used, and the administration has been just sort of, the stories I'm reading on this thing are just vague. I mean, the stories themselves are saying, yeah, we didn't see this thing coming, and we're asking people, and they're just sort of kind of giving us weird talk. I mean, the stories themselves are saying that. And I'm reading these quotes, and it's like, whoa! We are trying to oust Gaddafi, but, if there's a missile, and he's there, and he gets blown up, we're not crying. I mean, that's sort of kind of what the language is coming down to, and it's just weird. Really weird. Weird. I mean, that's just... So, those are 3 stories that came out over the past couple days that are just sort of kind of interesting. So, there you go. Bye-bye.